every 20 minutes. It's your statewide Alabama weathercast.
Good morning, I'm meteorologist Drew McCombs with the Alabama Weather Network, and this is your morning statewide forecast. And as we take a look across the state, we have cleared out all the rain that we were seeing yesterday, had some scattered showers and some heavy thunderstorms in some cases, but that has since all cleared out as we got that cold front has moved to the south of the state. As we get through the morning here, you can see that you can see some clouds in the southern part of the state. So there are still some clouds around there, mainly in kind of the northern half of the state. We are seeing some blue skies, maybe a little bit of patchy fog, but you do see a few patches of cloud cover left over in the southern part of the state, but we expect that'll mainly kind of mix out as we get later on into the day. But pretty nice morning as we kind of take a look around our Skycam network, and you can see that Russellville looking beautiful up there in the northwestern part of the state. It's 66 degrees. It's dew point at 65 degrees, and you've got nice, still some colors still hanging around there as the sun's continuing to come up here. And looks like maybe a little bit of fog over in the right-hand part of the screen there. You can see, again, we've got a little bit of maybe kind of valley or creek valley fog in some spots, but nothing super widespread, not enough to reach a dense fog advisory criteria. Looking from the top of Monte Sano in Huntsville, it's 60 degrees there. The dew point 48. Wow. So it's definitely very dry. Again, behind that cold front, you got the winds coming out of the northwest, got occasional gusts to 15 to 20 miles per hour. And I will say today's going to be pretty breezy in spots, or a good portion of the state should be pretty breezy behind this front with this northerly winds continuing to pull the drier air further to the south. But again, just a nice, beautiful blue sky view there in Huntsville. And as we move down towards the south, Mount Cheaha, so not quite the same from Mount Cheaha. We're actually kind of still in the clouds in Mount Cheaha, maybe a little bit of fog there. See, it's 60 degrees as far as the temperature and the dew point as well, but I'm sure that'll clear up here soon. We'll have some beautiful views from Mount Cheaha. And then as we move further to the south, look down at Dozier. So again, there's some of that cloud cover that's still hanging around in the southern part of the state there. So you can see those clouds moving by. It's 70 degrees there. The dew point's 69, but you already still have the northerly winds coming in. So the front has passed. It's just the dry air hasn't completely filled in as much behind that far south. And then looking at Point Clear, beautiful morning there, looking out towards the bay there, and you can get the temperature at 77 degrees. And again, look at a little bit of a northeasterly breeze here. You can see the flags moving just a little bit, and just a beautiful morning there across the bay. See some people out there, looks like they're fishing already. So what we're watching for today and through the rest of this weekend and into the week is lower humidity, especially in the northern and central parts of the state right now. And again, we expect that to kind of spread farther to the south, but you're definitely feeling it right now if you're in the northern part of the state. There is a spot shower possible in the southern part of the state later on today, but I mean, it really is a small chance. So most places will definitely stay dry. Could be an isolated little sprinkle here and there, but generally going to be staying dry. And staying dry is going to be the theme as we get into this coming week across the state. It will be gradually warming over the next couple of days, but we'll have a couple of nice crisp mornings this morning, and also especially tomorrow morning, more widespread across the state. But we'll be gradually warming. But again, it's a dry forecast for sure. We're getting to the point where we got some areas that could use some rain, but we're not expecting a lot of it here in the near future. Looking at our low temperatures so far today, we did get in the 50s in the northern part of the state, where you had the most dry air move through with the front. So it got down to around 58 degrees in both Florence and Huntsville. As you move a little bit further to the south, low 60s, 63 in Birmingham, and then around 70 degrees, upper 60s, around 70 in most of the kind of south central and south part of the state. Got down about to 70 in Montgomery. Same thing in Greenville, 69 in Monroeville there. Looking at some of our Skywatcher reports as far as temperature is concerned, lowest one we've seen so far was from Jeff Lee and Carbon Hill at 58 degrees. And then Angie Thompson and Aniana got down to 63. Same thing, Steve Jones and Heflin reached 63 as well. And then Joey Amberson in Oxmoor Valley got down to 64. And Mike Stevens and Helena got down to 65. So again, pretty nice, refreshing morning in many spots across the state. Temperatures right now, again, we've just fairly recently hit our lows, starting to creep up just a little bit. We're still in the upper 50s in the northwestern corner of the state, but we're starting to warm into the 60s and 70s, and just saw an update there. So we're hitting 70 degrees in Selma right now, and then also in Thomasville. We're at 72 in Dothan, 73 in Geneva, 63 in Gadsden. So again, a little bit cooler up towards the north, but we'll be warming up. And again, the dew point difference is definitely noticeable there right now. So we're down into the 50s in the northern part of the state. And again, it's less than it was yesterday in the southern part of the state, but we haven't really gotten that big push of dry air really super far south yet, but that will continue to move to the south over the course of the day. So we'll expect lower humidity even in the southern half of the state more as we get later on into the day today. As far as forecast highs are concerned, we expect to maybe only get into the upper 70s with a fairly cool start up in the northern part of the state, even though there'll be plenty of sunshine, but maybe only getting up into the upper 70s in places like Coleman and Huntsville, and then low mid 80s across most of the rest of the state, getting up to maybe around 83 degrees in Demopolis, 87 degrees in Troy. And it is certainly possible, and looks pretty likely that the southeastern corner, maybe down towards the coast, will get into the 90s again today. But again, it'll be a little bit more comfortable. Forecast lows for tonight, so expect another cool night, and then we'll see that the kind of cooler starts creep a little bit further to the south. So we'll expect to get down into the upper 50s in places like Clanton and Demopolis, and then low 60s even in places like Monroeville and Chatham. But as you get closer to the coast, not quite as cool, but again, we could see some lower 50s, it looks like, especially in the northwestern corner, places like Florence and Hamilton getting down into the low 50s. Here's you look at the rain totals over the last 24 hours. So again, we had a little bit of rain in some spots, especially in the northern part of the state. You got a little bit of heavier, a little bit more widespread rain that happened earlier in the day yesterday. So got over an inch and a quarter in Florence, got near an inch in Huntsville, and same thing in Hamilton as well. Further to the south, there was some heavier storms, but it was a little bit more, the coverage was not as widespread as there was in the northern part of the state. And down towards the south, you got close to a half inch or over a half inch in places like Geneva and Dothan. So at least we did get a little bit of rain in some spots, but still not quite enough to be kind of as beneficial as we would want in some of these places that are starting to get kind of dry. Looking at our future cast as we move through this morning, again, we expect those clouds to sort of start to clear out here. Now, looks like we'll get a little bit more development of some cumulus clouds as we get into the afternoon, but those kind of stratus clouds that you see right now in the southern part of the state should be clearing out as we get through the next couple hours. And again, the model is still showing a shower or two. Again, the front is down in the Gulf, but if you're in the farther south part of the state, you're closer to the front, so there's still a chance that you could get a spot shower, but again, vast majority of places in the southern part of the state should stay dry today. Everywhere else will be dry for sure. As we get into Monday, again, a few more clouds starting to move in from the east. Looks like we have a little bit of a kind of an easterly almost kind of wedge thing happening again here. We get some easterly flow, and it's trying to represent a few showers in the southern part of the state. Not really anything in the northern part of the state for Monday, but certainly could see, again, an isolated shower or two in the southern part of the state as we get into Monday afternoon and evening. And then as we continue to progress through there, looks like you could get a few more showers Tuesday morning and like Mississippi and right along the state line there in the western part of the state. But again, generally going to be pretty dry as we move through this week. And as we look at our forecast dew points, again, we're starting off right now, we're mostly that's the kind of northern half, 59-20 corridor in north that has the drier air. But as we get through today, you'll see that will continue to push to the south. Now, it is fairly short-lived. We'll get through most of, or at least part of Monday with those really low dew points, but then we start to see a little bit of a surge of some moisture from the east there with that easterly flow. So that'll help to kind of bump the dew points back up through a good portion of the state as we get into Tuesday afternoon, but still some leftover dry air, especially in the northeastern corner there. And as you look at the precipitation outlook over, this will actually is looking at next week. Again, we expect to be pretty dry this coming week, and we continue to expect that as we get into the following week as well. So we may be in a similar pattern to this in the next couple of weeks here. So looking at a little bit below average precipitation in the northwestern sort of half of the state, and then pretty close to normal in the southern half. So again, we could open up a few more showers in the southern half of the state. But again, this is generally a fairly dry time of year. So we're not expecting a lot of rain just at all, because this is also typically fairly dry time of year as we get into September and October. The temperature outlook as we get into looking at next week as well. Again, we're going to be a little cooler here to start off this week, especially in the mornings. We'll moderate a little bit towards the end of the week, and then next week again looks like maybe the eastern side of the state could be slightly below normal, but most of the state is going to be kind of right near those seasonal averages. So again, pretty calm forecast here. And looking at our 7-day forecast, you can see that for sure. Looking at our North Alabama 7-day here, it's expecting to get in the upper 70s to around 80 degrees as we get through the day today. No chance of rain and no chance of appreciable rain in the next number of days as we get through this week. Well, you see those temperatures, though, kind of steadily climbing up in the afternoons into the mid to upper 80s. But look at the lows. Again, we expect probably tomorrow morning will be the coolest morning that we'll see for the next week, and then it'll start to creep back up a little bit, but still pretty nice for the morning temperatures there. And then in South Alabama, you can see that, again, just very small chance of a spot shower hour or two as we move through the next few days, just being closer to that front down in the Gulf. But you can see that the temperatures do start to back down a little bit after today with that drier air coming in, and we'll expect a little bit more comfortable mornings for the next few days. So overall, a calm forecast is pretty nice. Again, we will need to get some rain in here at some point, but for now, it's pretty nice to enjoy some calm weather. And again, we're happy that the tropics are not active right now, so we'll definitely take that this time of year. Well, that is your statewide forecast for now. We'll have another one coming up later on this morning, and we hope you continue to watch us on the Alabama Weather Network.